we just want to say thank you to the Hamilton Public Library in Ontario to invite us for this virtual speaking event.
Yeah.
And we want to talk a little bit about our novel, My Totem Came Calling. So, and we got some questions that we're really pleased to answer. The first question was, how did we get the idea, right? And that was quite a long way, how we kind of developed that. I mean, I think we should start with Denmark, right? In Denmark, Blessing and me, we were at a writers retreat, at a paid writers retreat in Holt, Denmark. And that's where we met. And we had meals together and we had performances together. And I think I just shot that idea out because you were such a great storyteller that, you know, we should, you know, or you should write also a novel or, you know, those things. Do you remember that way as well?
Yeah, I remember that. I think because we shared so many meals together and we'd sit at the table and just talk and talk and talk. And I talked, I think, a lot about, you know, animals and safaris and things like that. I think that's what gave us the idea because we talked a lot about that. And then when I came home after the residency for a while, I remember I sent you and Cindy, this is a Danish writer friend of ours, I sent you guys an article which I thought was really funny because of one of the stories I told you about a lion which was terrorizing. It was actually the blind lioness that's in our book. That is an actual lion that existed. And that's why we put that lion in the book, because I sent the article to you and I think you came back with like, wow, Blessing, this is really crazy. Let's write a story. And I was like, yeah, okay. You know, I didn't really think you were serious. And then you came back and you had like a whole like story concept and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, he's actually serious. So now we've got to write this book. And so that's really how it started. And then you proposed this kind of storyline, which I don't know where you got the idea from about somebody who keeps seeing a zebra. I mean, that was just so like, I don't know where from, you know, and not to mention the name Chanda Gwinira. I don't know where you got that name. That really shocked me. I was like, where did you get this name? It's such a deep Shona name, you know? Yeah. So that was really crazy. And then we just started going back and forth from then and working up the characters. And I remember, I think we even had 4 characters in the beginning or something. And then we got rid of one and then we changed someone's name. And we took a lot of time, I think, to develop the characters before we started writing. And I think that's why the characters are so great in the book. And also the reason why I think for us, like this book really worked is because I feel like we had sort of like the same sense of humor. Remember when we were at the residency, we just used to laugh all the time. And sometimes people are like, I don't know, you guys are crazy. But yeah, and so that's why it was so easy, you know, to start this process and get going and actually finish this book. It didn't take us very long.
Yeah, well, once we got going, I really enjoyed that process of working on the treatment. And always I remember that I think over a year almost, we sent it back and forth and we each tweaked certain things. Yeah. And I got kind of immersed in like at least like what I could get my hands on about Zimbabwe. And in one of my researches with the names, that's, for example, where Chanda came up. And I was like, oh, what a beautiful name with meaning and everything. And I was then super glad that it really hit a chord with you. So, yeah. So, and then we're basically now in the writing process already, right? Like when people ask me sometimes, they say like, did each of you write, you know, one writes the even pages, the other one writes the uneven pages or something? And we basically tossed the coin, if I remember, to say like, who wants to write the first quick version, right?
Yeah, and that was me. I said, no, that's good, because then at least I can map out the journey, because I know all the places. So it was good because I also like to work like that. I like to make a map for myself about where my story is going and how people get there. So yeah, so it was good. I ended up doing the first draft, and what I did was just to completely map out the journey. That was what I was concentrating on, and just kind of writing snippets, bits and pieces along the way. And then wherever I I didn't want to stop and think too hard about anything. I just wanted to do the skeleton. So I did the skeleton and passed it to you, and then you filled in, because I know there was like a lot of places where I was like X, 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 X. I don't know what happens here. Something happens here. Something happens here. I don't know how they get here. And then you'd come up with all these some of your ideas were really crazy, which I think is why the book is so funny, because it just kind of goes all out. And I think that was the nice thing. We just went all out with the story. We didn't really limit ourselves too much. We just wanted to write a crazy, fun story. Yeah.
That is like the journey that Chanda takes, and I know you that you insisted, like, no, there has to be a German German character in there, and then we tossed him into the story as well. What really worked, actually,
I like Sven. He's so funny. But so that was really cool. I'm glad we had the German hitchhiker. We just needed, someone who's just totally out of their element completely. I mean, Chanda and her friends were already out of their elements, but now Sven was like totally out. But weirdly enough, he was kind of like the really calm one most of the time. I think because he's a character that had no expectations of anything. Everything to him there was always that expectation from him that it's going to be new, and it's going to be different. And the thing that I do love about Sven is that he just decides, okay, I'm going to come with you. He's never met these people. He doesn't know them. He's just on a journey, And what I like about that is that sometimes that's life, Sometimes you just take a chance.
I don't know why, but I found myself somehow in there. That's pretty much how I came to Canada, and I just listened to people while I was hitchhiking on the West Coast of British Columbia. So with the writing process, where did you write? Are we now in your office there? Did you write Chanda partially there, or?
No, actually, this office didn't exist when we started writing Chanda. I had a little corner in my bedroom, which was my little writing corner. And it is a corner, like literally like this, like if I'm sitting in it and people open the door to my room, they won't even see me. So, which is good, because when I'm working, nobody knows I'm in there. So if they're looking for me, I just keep quiet and then go away and I continue working. But I was in my room. I just sit there. I like that corner because I had lots of pictures and things up that I used to look at. And, I'd light a candle and just kind of bring all my characters to me and then just write. So, yeah. So this is a new development, kind of new. Well, it's about 2 years old.
Okay, good for you. Yeah. For me, it was like we just arrived as a family here in Lethbridge in Alberta in Canada. And we rented a little place, and I did have no corner for me. We have 3 children. So I'm really glad and happy to say, like, since we're doing this for the library, for the Hamilton Library, the stuff I wrote at the Lethbridge Public Library and also at the University Library. I asked them where I could sit, and the university told me, the so-and-so floor is the quietest. If you want to write something, you're good there and stuff. So so my thanks always go out to those guys as well, that like the weird guy immersed in the script. And I did it per hand, right? So I didn't have my computer with me. I wrote the stuff. I wrote the first version basically all by hand and then transcribed it once.
Wow. But I mean, that's not actually like a big thing, because I always write like a lot of notes by hand first before I go to my computer. I never actually start writing on a blank screen. I can't do that.
Okay.
I have to make a whole lot of notes first. And sometimes I'll even write out entire like dialogues and things. Descriptions is what I do on the computer. And I do it just by, you know, that they become the fillers for my other notes that I've written. But yeah,
Nice.
So it's
Okay.
kind of a similar process, except I don't write the whole thing. I handwrite the whole thing. Yeah, that was something. Yeah.
Interesting. They also ask us like what would be our favorite character in the novel, and I must say I really loved Chanda as a character, her attitude and should I say like her position. She's a very strong character, I felt like, although she had to deal with these visions, and I found that balancing act really fascinating. How about you?
What I actually liked about Chanda, which I felt came best because of the result of you and me writing one character, is that she became, even to me, because we were sharing her, you know, some of the things she did, I would probably not have expected her to do, but because you have a different thought process than I might do, especially also maybe because you're a guy.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, some of the things that Chanda would like do, I'd be like, this is really interesting. I kind of like that, because I feel like if I had just written her on my own, I might have become very like internalized about her whole experience. And I feel like part of what you brought to Chanda was like opening up her character, I think, a lot more than I might have done. I might have gotten too like stuck in her head kind of thing.
Okay.
Whereas I felt like, you know, she kept it quite light, even though it was quite deep. But, you know, I think it helped really to kind of like give us two sides of one person, and we to have both sides of her while she was multifaceted. Let me say. And I think it's a result of having the both of us share her as a character. And you know, sometimes you take in a direction that I might not have thought about, but I thought, well, I kind of like the way she is, because she also wasn't too, oh, I'm so in love with Swagger, I'm so in love. She was also kind of like, hey, you know what, I'm young and he's cool and he's cute. I mean, her and Swagger, they have a kind of, it's not a deep relationship, it's more of a friendship. I feel that became a relationship because they really like connected in some way, but it also, I feel like it didn't consume her, the relationship. And I think that's a good thing, you know, for where she was in her life, because they're all sort of at a stage where they're soon going to transition. So yeah, I just liked the fact that, you know, she sometimes had thoughts that I might not have had for her, and it made her more interesting for me.
Yeah, I must say the same thing. Even if I would have the means and I could have flown to Zimbabwe for research and write the novel myself alone, it would have never been on that level as it was, or as it is, to kind of balance two worlds. I mean, like literally, we're living in two worlds. It's even my second language. You know, we can't be much more opposite. You know, we can just communicate in English, basically. And so these worlds all, I think, melted into this novel. And what I really, really enjoyed to see that happen.
What I particularly liked is your turn of phrase was so different from mine, and some of your comparisons, I was like, oh my God, this is so funny, because I would never have thought about it, because I know that sometimes I'm limited when I'm trying to like say, oh, this is like such and such. It's like, you know, and then you come up with all these crazy things. I'm just trying to think of an example. There's a particular example in the book that I know I probably wouldn't ever have thought of. So it's just kind of things like that I liked, because it was just so different. It just, you know, for me, it was an expansion of my own like tried and tested repertoire. You know, you develop certain things that you keep falling back on, that even become cliche within your own work, and then you have to try and change those, and that's really hard.
Yeah.
And I found it was nice because you came in with those things that I would have wanted to change and make better, and because it was just so different. It was like, yay, this is so cool and fresh and new. I've not come across this comparison before, you know. So yeah, it was
I was
nice.
always looking forward to get the next version, and I couldn't wait. You know, there were sometimes, of course, many weeks, because depending on like how much we changed and each other, you know, that the other one just had to bear with the fact and to wait. And
like,
we
oh
also
my
had some
gosh.
technical struggles, right? Like you had then
Oh my gosh,
access to the
yes.
internet. That was sometimes a problem.
Yeah,
They
and
also have,
formatting and things like that. I mean, I remember sending you one email saying, Thorsten, I cannot change this format. Make it the way that I sent it to you.
yeah, but we always found a way. So that's over years. And
Yeah.
they basically they one of the problems that writers have, because we're now like we're in this problem area, is like they ask us also what we would do with if you have a writer's block. Do you experience writer's block? I didn't have it with Chanda at all.
No, we didn't have any writer's block with Chanda. I think it was just sort of sometimes I'd be busy with other things and wouldn't manage to give. I never want to do anything half-heartedly. So when I write, I want to have that time to really get into it, because it's very difficult for me to get into a story and then just get out of it and then just get into it again. I have to kind of like it's kind of like a meditation when you get into your characters, and to the point where while I'm writing, that's all I'm thinking about. Even when I'm going to sleep, you know, sometimes I'm on the verge of sleep and I have to get up and start writing, because, you know, the characters will start having a dialogue or something, and I'll think, oh, this can happen, and this is going to happen, and this is really crazy, you know, so I can't just switch. So sometimes I guess that's why it took some time, because I'd have to have the time to mentally be in that space for quite a while. But in terms of writer's block, I've never, ever in my life subscribed to anything called writer's block. I don't believe in it. I think that there is a time for writing, and then there is a time for doing other things. You know?
That is
so.
You put that straight, like, because writing is also life. If you don't live, how would you write about experiences, about other people and all that?
So when I don't feel like writing, or when I don't have anything that I want to write about, or that I'm feeling particularly moved to write about, you know, I'll start doing other artistic things, like I'll bake, or I'll start making stuff. I get into like moods of doing certain things, or I'll just read, you know, for a while, or I'll binge watch shows, or you know, or I'll start getting really sociable, and that's when my friends see a lot of me. You know, because the rest of the time I don't want to see people much. You know, I'll chat with them on the phone here and there, but like when I'm writing, I tend to stay in one place. I tend to stay at home a lot. And then when I'm not writing, that's when I do other things, and I'll go out and have fun, and I don't feel like I need to be home because I need to be writing, or I want to go because I've got an idea, or I'm not sitting with people and scribbling something that's just come into my head. So
that happens to me.
You see. So for me, it's always, there's a time for writing and there's a time for other things.
For me, writer's block, I'm totally on your page on that one. I never could say like, oh, I couldn't write anything. It's always, if I jokingly, I say like, because, you know, as a writer, as you know, it's not easy to make money. So if I'm in some jobs, that is my writer's block. I'm blocked from writing to make money with something else. So I'm totally on your side. And you mentioned already now the reading part. So what kind of, what are you reading right now?
Oh, I'm not sure I really want to say, because it's not some great amazing literary work. I binge read romantic suspense novels. You know, I go through a period where that's all I want to read. I think because they're very light and undemanding, and they're quite, you know, they have a formula. so I know what to expect.
Yeah.
I don't have to be too heavily invested in it. Of course, the story has to grip me, but you know, I don't have to work too hard.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just all I can deal with. So I can't even tell you which one I'm reading right now. I think I've read about 15 in the last in the last 2 months or so.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's pretty much like at the moment, or since quite a while actually, since a year or something, I kind of switched from novel for some funky reason to poetry. And and for the last
you see that's why I didn't want to say what I was reading, because you're reading something serious and literate.
Yeah, I must say,
you know, all books are good. Everybody's writing something. I mean, there's a reason why I want to read these books. So you know, but you know how snobbish the literati can be sometimes. You have to be reading, like Tolstoy.
Usually you're more the poet of the two of us, but
I know.
I know. So reading wise, but at the moment, I think it has to do with me at the moment with time. I don't have like big time slots. I like to get lost in a novel as well for 3 hours, and that is really hard in the last year. So I always felt like not satisfied to the full amount. So I switched to short stories, and then even that is sometimes too much. And I rather read a poem like twice. And actually, I got the 2 books because I carry them around the house right now. So I'm a bilingual person. So there's one is in German, one is in English. So I start with my my German one. It's a great. Let's see if this can go into frame here. Here we go. It is José Oliver. Is his book of poetry. Is a great German poet. By the way, he also toured Canada extensively.
Okay.
So he's an internationally accomplished author, and his poetry is definitely on another level. And since living here, I feel like I should catch up with some of the Canadians, and this one is a well-known author and songwriter, Leonard Cohen. So I really enjoy basically 1 poem a day, maybe, you know. It's very limited, but it's a precious time. So that's where I am right now. So if you think
I ordered a poetry book that my friend wrote, and he's just won the T.S. Eliot Prize, which is like the biggest prize in poetry in England. His name is Roger Robinson, and his book is called The Portable Paradise. And I ordered it, and I've been so looking forward to reading it. My friend was coming from London, and she was going to bring the book because I had to order it off Amazon. And, you know, trying to get it delivered here, the charges are really too much. And then COVID-19 happened, and then she didn't manage to come. So I'm still waiting for that book, because that's the one poetry book I was like really excited to be reading. And that is one of the books I would have been reading along with all my romantic suspense.
Now you're stuck in that loop.
Yeah, I am. I don't know when I'll ever be out of it. I think it's also because so much has been happening around me in the last few years in Zimbabwe and in my family. So, you know, it takes a really big emotional toll, and your mind space is not, it's like I don't have enough memory, you know, like when your computer is saying there's not enough memory space left. I don't have that space in my head to really dedicate to like a big piece of literature or something that's too serious that I would have to take a lot of time to get deep into. So I think that's probably what it is. It's just a matter of there's too much going on, and I can't concentrate. And that's when the light reading comes in. And I mean, if it wasn't for that, I don't know what I'd do, because I have to read. It's like you know, but it would be a waste for me right now to read any great piece of like literature, some big thing, and then say, oh, I read it, but now I don't really remember much about it because I was very distracted at the time, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I noticed that. Yeah. No, it's like, that's terrible. If you just flip pages and you don't even, you phase out somewhere else. I'm big into that. So a big guilty. So it's like,
because you know, sometimes you can spend like days reading the first page of a book and just keep starting it again because you didn't really connect at all because you were not invested in it. You were thinking your mind was elsewhere. Yeah. So yeah.
What about they have one last question for us, what we would say to a young aspiring writer anywhere in the world, like if you how was it for you when you were 15, or you know, like when you started, maybe when did you start? What would you tell a young aspiring writer?
I read a lot. I actually say to people that I'm a reader, but I'm a writer because I'm a reader.
Nice.
I started off as a reader, and that's all I ever did. I read all the time as a child because my mother used to take us to the local library, me, my brothers and sisters, and it was just outside town. So it was called the Queen Victoria Library. And she'd drop us there. They had a really great children's section at the time. And so my mom would drop us there, and then she would go and do all her errands and leave us in the library. And we would sit and read books, and then we'd borrow books. And we knew that every Saturday we were going to the library, and we loved it. And that's how, I mean, my whole family reads. We're all readers. And that's how we started reading. And one of the books that really captured my attention was Enid Blyton. And she did a lot of magical realist stories, which is, I think, why I tend towards magical realism myself, and also writing for children. I think I must have read everything she ever wrote over time as a child. And then as a teenager, you know, I read everything. I just liked reading. I ate supper with a book in my hand. I took a bath with a book in my hand. I went to sleep with a book in my hand or under my pillow. I watched TV with a book in my hand so that when my film went to commercials or whatever I was watching, I would read. And I never left the house without a book, just in case we went to visit somebody and I got so bored and I needed my book, you know. So I was like that, and that is what compelled me to become a writer. You know, suddenly I just found myself also wanting to write, and I'd write my own stories. I kept journals, which is one of the big pieces of advice that I have, is keep a journal.
Nice.
And keep a diary. You don't have to write about your life if you don't want to, but you can just write things that, you know, things that you see in the day, things that capture your attention. You know, I doodled a lot. I daydreamed a lot. People were always telling me that, oh my God, your imagination is running away with you again. You know. So yeah, those are my pieces of advice. Read, journal, you know, daydream, doodle, make up stories. You know, make up stories. Make up fun stories to tell other people, not like, don't make up stories as in telling lies.
Tell them as what they are. Stories.
Yeah, you know, I used to create these worlds for my sisters and, you know, cousins and friends in the neighborhood, and we'd go outside and we'd play in this imaginary world that I would create, and I'd tell them, these are the rules of this world. You can't step here and you can't step there, and over there there's giants, and you've got to solve this riddle to get to that state, you know, because we played outside a lot and we had to make up games. We didn't have toys and electronics and things like that. So yeah, that that's what I mean by make-up stories, just to entertain each other and yourself, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
it's the same for me. I definitely read a lot. I even watched pictures before I could read. And then it was books, and then I moved on really fast. And I was basically, for me, the turning point was when playing with toys what became unpopular. I started writing. I made up my own stories. Instead of playing them out with Playmobil or Lego or whatever you have, I invented my stories, wrote them down, and I still have those little school books where I do them in, and my friends gave me grades. Like the best grade was a C+, I think. And yeah, what I want to say is, like, you should always do it for the fun, right? Like it must be your pleasure. No matter what you do, it should be this time for you, for yourself, and there's nothing in the back of the mind, and no goal necessarily, but maybe finishing the story and having a good time with it. And what I did maybe as a little writing tip, what I actually did at one point, what meant a jump for me in my writing was, I think, like late teens, early 20s, somewhere there. I started to realize some pages I wrote weren't up to the level that I liked literature. And then I typed down a page from books that I really liked, and to get the feeling of that, to see what they do different, all these authors. So that was one thing that I did, but the main thing is, like, you do it for the fun.
Yeah, and also write what you like, write what you want to write. I think, don't write what you think you should write, or what you think people would like you to write. Write the story that you want to write. I mean, that's what we did. And to be quite honest, when we started out on it, I just thought, oh, you know what, we're just doing this because Thorsten wants to do it. So,
you just humored me.
I'm just gonna humor him and write the story with him.
Thank you. So nice of you. Okay, Blessing.
Yeah, so I mean, look at it. I mean, we did it for fun, and we did it because we just wanted to do something fun that, we could say, hey, we wrote this story together, and we're just really happy that it's gotten this far, and it's because we wrote what we wanted to write. A crazy, funny story.
That we did not know that if anybody would publish it, and we're so thankful that we found Mawenzi House also in Ontario. I think it's a crazy story behind that all. Like, two writers from different continents meet in Denmark, go back. I moved to Canada. We write a novel, and it gets published in Canada. It can't be actually more global. Especially in these times, I think. Like
I know, that's so crazy, right? Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool, and I'm really pleased. I'm so happy, and thanks, Thorsten.
Thank you, Blessing, and thank you, Sarah, and the Hamilton Library. Thank you for inviting us. This was fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Bye. It was. Bye-bye.